Harry Millican, this is your life. So, tell us when you were born, Harry, and where you were born and who your parents were.
I was born in the Rows of Great Yarmouth, and I was born at number 10, row 112. They're all gone now. They've blitzed down the war. And,
And what were your parents' names?
my parents' name were, my father was Herbert Cecil Millican, and my mother was Agnes Tryphena
That's right.
Millican, and her name was Sayre, actually. Her maiden name was Sayre.
Sayer, S-A-Y-E-R.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where? And your father was from Yarmouth, wasn't
He was born in Yarmouth in the same, in the same house.
he? In the same rows.
Yeah,
In the same row.
Yeah.
And your mother, was she from Loddon somewhere, wasn't she?
Well, don't know. I think they were a bit of a travellers, till the war started. Then they got a house in Caister.
What did your dad do for a job?
Well, he only worked. That was during the Depression time. He only worked in the summer.
Right.
And he drove a lorry, or he did drive a coach at one time.
Right.
A holiday coach.
Yeah. And do you remember? So, what year were you born in, Harry?
I was born in 1927.
So that makes you how old now? We're in
93.
93, and we're in 2020 now. And we're halfway through a pandemic for anybody that's watching this after the pandemic. So I've been filmed at 2 meters. So what do you remember about your childhood in Yarmouth?
Very, very little. Well, I remember, but as I say, I was born in 10 row 112. There was a small house up in a row, up a passage. That was the last one up a passage of 3.
Right.
And you entered by there was only one door actually, but you entered through a yard with just that yard that does everything. You went out of the yard into the kitchen.
Yeah.
And in the kitchen was very, very bare. There was a cooking range which was coal, and all the cooking had to be done on that. And
how many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had one brother and one sister. My brother was 3 years older than me, and my sister was 3 years younger.
And what were their names?
My brother was Herbert.
Right.
Yeah, he's named after my father.
Yeah.
And my sister's name was Evelyn.
And do you want to tell us briefly what they did and where they lived? And
my brother, he left school just before the war started. And when the war started, the firm he was working for was Miller's shoe factory down, which was in Yarmouth.
Right.
And they moved up to Cumberland, and he moved up there with them.
Right.
From there, he joined the RAF, and he was a flight engineer.
Right.
And he was stationed in Northern Ireland, and he had to. He was doing flights over the Atlantic. No,
Yeah.
is it?
North Sea.
And looking for submarines.
Right.
And he started off in the flying boat because we had very few planes.
Yeah.
Then he moved on to a Louisiana, which was a little tiny plane.
Yeah.
And there was just 2 of them in that. They had no armaments, but they were going all around looking for submarines. And
Right.
then they notified the base, and they sent.
So he was in the Second World War, your brother?
He was in most of the time, you know.
Right. And is he still around?
No, he died many years ago.
Did he have children?
No.
No children?
No.
What about your sister? What?
My sister, she lived in, well, I can't remember much about my sister actually, because she was evacuated during the war. And the time she'd come home, we got bombed out in Yarmouth.
Yeah.
And we moved in with an aunt of mine at Belton.
So you got evacuated as well, didn't you?
I got evacuated. I went to a place called Misterton, that's up near Gainsborough.
So you moved, so for those of us not so familiar with the Second World War as you, tell us why Yarmouth was a target for the Germans.
Well, they thought this was going to be the invasion part where if Germany invaded, they would come to Yarmouth.
Right.
But apart from that, we had Yarmouth Harbour was a base for MTB boats. Right. And they used to go out after, send them out after anything what they thought was German.
Yeah, yeah. So so Yarmouth was a target for the bombs.
That was a training area really. But in fact, they made it so that even anyone with not an essential job had to be evacuated.
And did you initially go to your aunt's in Belton then?
I was when we were bombed out, we went to Belton.
Right.
And
what was your aunt's name?
Because we couldn't live in our house for 6 months.
Yeah.
Because that's badly damaged. And
just you and your sister or the whole family?
Huh?
Just you and your sister or the whole family went to Belton?
Just me and my sister, yeah. My mother and father used to come out there at night, but we were sent out there. And I went to school for 6 months
in Belton. And do you remember your aunt's name?
Francie, that's all I know.
Francie
Pettingale.
Francis Pettingale.
Or Pettingale, I don't know.
That sounds like a traveller's name.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my mother's parents were travellers.
So you were there for a while, and then why did you get evacuated to Gainsborough? Why was Belton not safe?
The beginning part of the war, they just said all children, they closed all the schools, just said that all children had got to be evacuated.
Right. So you went up by train, did you?
We went up by train. That was a bit of a farce really, because my mother and father, they were both working.
Yeah.
I had a little bag with all my food possessions I'd got.
Yeah.
And my gas mask, and I'd get down at Vauxhall Station.
Yeah.
Where I got on the train, there was always hundreds of us there.
Was you evacuated with your sister or on your own?
No, she went separate.
Right. So when you got to the other end, who met you at the other end? Do you remember?
Well, we were some of the school teachers went with us. Right. Because the schools were closed, and then we were taken straight to a school when we got off the train, and there was people there couldn't actually choose who they wanted. Yeah. As an evacuee. A lot of them didn't want to take people in, but they were forced to.
Yeah. No.
And the people I went with, he was a undertaker, and he made coffins, and he'd done small jobs, and they were very good. They were marvellous to me.
So do they have a big house in the country or a little house in the town?
Misterton was a small town. It's right alongside the canal. Yeah. And I absolutely loved it there. I used to go walking on my own alongside the canal.
And you were how old when you were there? So
well, I just started at senior school, so I'd been 11.
Right.
No, I was 12 when the war broke out. I must have been 12 when I went there.
Yeah. So at the end of the war,
They
told you were going home, presumably. What happened then?
No, we came home. My parents had to pay £6 a week for me to be there.
Oh, did they? Right.
Well, the £6 was a lot of money in those days.
Yeah.
And they just decided to bring me home. The only way they'd bring me home was say that there was something wrong with me.
Right.
And they made out I'd got tonsillitis and I'd got to come home and have my tonsils out.
Oh, I see. But you didn't.
No, I didn't. I never had about it.
No, but you were homesick. Were you? Do you think? Were you a bit homesick?
No, I went. I was the best I've been in my life.
No.
I was living out alone, and they really looked after me.
But your mum wanted you home. Your mum wanted you home.
No, not really. They just didn't like paying the £6.
I see. Right. So you came home and finished school in Yarmouth, did you?
I finished my time in school in Yarmouth.
Yeah. And then what did you do when you left school?
My first job was in a tailor shop in Market Row in Yarmouth.
Right.
And I was odd job, but cleaning up and doing.
Yeah.
There wasn't behind the tailor shop. They've got a workroom with a man making suits and that.
Yeah.
And made to measure suits.
Right.
And I used to go in and help him sometimes when just clearing up and that. And I'd have loved to have done that.
Yeah.
But the boss I don't pay him to do that.
No. But you did national service, didn't you? Or did you go in the RAF?
No, I didn't do national service. I was. I wanted to be apprentice. I wanted to be apprentice motor mechanic.
Right.
But at that time, you've got to pay a premium £25 bond.
Yeah.
To say that you'd complete a 5-year course.
Right.
And my father said he couldn't afford £25.
Right.
So anyway, I went as grease boy because all the cars had to be greased and they got grease in it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Is this in the RAF or is this?
What?
Is this in the RAF?
No, it's 5 in Yarmouth.
Right. This is in Yarmouth.
In Yarmouth, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you didn't finish an apprenticeship. You just worked as
I didn't
a grease boy.
I didn't get a apprenticeship. I just worked as a grease boy and
right.
Greasing car. Then because I said I wanted to be have an apprentice, my father talked to a mate of his, and they got me apprentice bricklayer.
Right.
Well, there was no new work going on. There was all bomb damage repair.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it at all. Anyway, when the bombing eased off in Yarmouth, they moved. They started the doodlebug raid on Croydon, and they were a flying thing with they launched from the French coast.
Yeah.
And when the petrol rang out, they died and they got high explosives on them.
Right.
And they were meant to land on London.
Right.
But a lot of them were cut out short and they had landing on Croydon.
Oh, right.
And the builders were all sent up Yarmouth to do the repairs up there.
Right.
Well, I wasn't up really. I was 16 then, and I needn't go out to carry on my work in Yarmouth. But I wasn't getting on very well at home, so I volunteered to go up there.
Oh, did you go to Croydon, did you?
Yeah, I went to Croydon.
Funny place to go, isn't it?
That was
It is.
a place called Shirley where I was.
Right.
And
what did you do there when you were there?
that was me, all bomb damage repair. And there was me and another young chap, well, he's a couple of years older than me. And we used to do all the roof repairs.
Right.
And
on the planes?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Quite a responsible job then.
Yeah, I had a good time up there. I was away from home and
yeah.
We went to Purley ice skating and
met some young ladies, no doubt.
Yeah, but, I was there about 7 or 8 months, I suppose. And the Bolognese off, and we came back to Yarmouth.
Yeah.
And I went back to the building train. But as I say, I didn't like it, and at 17 I volunteered for the Navy.
Oh, it was the Navy.
Well, went for the Navy. That's the merchant Navy. That's the only place they'd take me then.
Right.
And when I went to see the recruiter, he said, "No," he said, "that's not for you." He said, "Yeah, you want something different to that." Because they've been on the merchant ships, and they were bombing all the merchant ships in this country. And so I volunteered for the RAF.
Right.
And I went into the RAF when I was 17 and a half.
Right. And where were you posted?
My first posting was to, oh God, I can't tell you now.
But you ended up going to Egypt. You told me that, didn't you?
I done the training at this first camp, and then I'd had a posting in this country, or I'd have gone abroad.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see the world, and I volunteered to go abroad.
Right. Where did you go?
I didn't know where I was going until I got there. Till I got to Portside.
Right. Egypt.
Egypt, yeah.
Yeah. What was that like? You went to visit the pyramids as well, didn't you?
Well, the first 6-7 months, I was posted to a camp on the Suez Canal.
Right.
And that was nearly all desert, and there was one small town nearby where they go in, but that was, anyway, I volunteered to go as I wanted to learn to drive.
Yeah.
So I volunteered for a maintenance driver, and I got posted to Cairo to this centre where they'd done the training for driving. And when I got there, they weren't doing it.
Right.
And so I got begged around. I finished up in a ration store. So there was, on this big camp I had, there was like three different mess areas.
Yeah.
Mess being where you eat.
Yeah.
And I had to supply food for them.
Right.
And I went to work at the officers' mess, and I served behind the bar in there, and
Yeah.
I had to go buy extra catering for them because an officer paid so much extra on top of his normal rations, and they brought stuff in for them.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
I did to a certain extent, and I had a lot of good mates there.
Yeah. Did you go sightseeing as well while you were there?
Yeah, I went to the pyramids.
Yeah. So, do you remember going anywhere, being posted anywhere else?
No, I was in Cairo right till the time I left.
Where? So, what was that? 3 years? 4 years?
I was about 2.5 years.
Right.
I was in the RAF 3 years. About 2.5 years I spent in Egypt anyway.
Right. And what happened when you came out?
I come out, but what did happen? Well, my old employer, I see him, and he offered me a job back. Working. He said 6 months training, and you can be qualified bricklayer.
And it's in Yarmouth again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't want that. And my brother had just come out of the RAF too.
Right.
And he'd gone on a training course. The government was ex-salesmen were sent him on a training course, and he was going to be either farm manager or map manager, a small hold on his own.
Yeah.
Well, he called me up to go in with him.
Right.
And there was a place at Scrappy, and I got a few acres of land, and we've got to take that over as a small hold.
Right.
But I went on an agriculture course, and my brother, he done all the basic work, and I done the dairy work.
Right.
And I'm getting on well, and his marriage broke up.
Your brother?
He decided to go back to the RAF.
Right.
And left me high and dry. So I went to work on a farm. And
where was that?
I was at East Tuddenham.
Oh yeah, you told me about that, didn't you?
And that was where I met Jean, my wife.
Yeah. So how old would you have been when you met your wife? 1948.
Where was I? About 21.
21, right.
Yeah, and she was 18.
Right. And how did you meet her? Tell us how you met her.
Well, I was, as I say, I worked the dairy side, and I was getting the cows up for milking. And no, first of all, I was the farmer's wife took me down to see where my lodgings were going to be, because I've got to go in lodgings.
Yeah.
And on the way back to the farm, we picked this young woman up with 2 children, which I took to be the farmer's daughter.
Right.
But a couple of days later, I was getting the cows up for milking in the afternoon, and this young woman sat on a tree trunk where I'd got to go past.
Right.
And I stopped and spoke to her, and that turned out she weren't the farmer's daughter at all.
Right.
Her father kept a pub in the village, and she worked for the farmer looking after her 2 children.
And the pub was called?
The pub was called Bull Inn.
Oh, that's right. We know where that is, don't we?
Yeah, but that's all gone now.
All gone, yeah. Yeah. So you met Jean, you fell in love. What did you take a dancing?
First of all, I asked her if she was going to the fair, because there was a Norwich fair at the time.
Yeah.
And she said no, she didn't. And I said, well, would you come with me? Because I had no car, and then we had to go up on the bus. And she said, well, I'll have to ask my father, because her father was pretty strict, because there's a lot of Yanks about there.
Yeah.
And anyway, she come back to me, and she said that her father said that'd be okay. And
so you got permission from her dad?
I got permission.
That's very traditional.
We went to Norwich Fair on the bus. Oh no, it started. She said she'd come, and I said, well, we're going on the 6 o'clock bus. And I sat in the bar waiting for her to come out, and she never come, and I went to see where she was, and she said, you don't think I won't come out in front of that lot in the bar then? And anyway, we missed the bus, and I had to get a taxi. And it cost me 15 shillings. 15 shillings was a hell of a lot.
Yeah, I bet. You were just trying to impress her.
Only about £3.50 a week.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had a good time. We went for a meal afterwards in Norwich, and then we used to go out every Saturday night. There was a hippodrome at Norwich. We used to go and see that. There were all live shows.
Do you see anybody famous you remember?
Oh, I couldn't remember that. Well, they weren't a long time ago.
So when did you decide to drop the question then? Did you get down on one knee, Harry?
Oh, well, my mother had a boarding house in Yarmouth, and I found work weren't enough money for me. I decided to go back to Yarmouth and work in a factory there. Right. I worked for Birdseye.
Right.
Where
and did Jean come with you?
She did eventually. She came down to Yarmouth, and she worked she used to help my mother in the boarding house in the summer.
Right.
And then she got a job in a bakery, a cake shop actually, behind a bakery.
Where was the boarding house, Harry? Do you remember?
St George's Road.
Yeah.
59 St George's Road.
Right, we'll have to look up.
And Jean used to help her. Then when I did finally asked her to marry me, she evidently said yes.
Yeah, evidently. So that would be, what year did you get married then?
We got married in 52.
Yeah.
So that would have been 51, 52. I suppose that was a year before we got married.
And where did you get married?
East London Church.
Oh, did you? Yeah, I know that one. Pretty little church, isn't it?
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything I remember, we were walking up the aisle with Jean and kneeling in front of the vicar, and he knelt down in front of us, and he got all comeback on the shirt. And that stuck in my mind all my life.
There's a lesson for you, Vickers, watching this video. Clean your shoes first.
Yeah, we got married in 1952. I had 3 children. Robert, my son, who's the oldest.
When was
he was born 52. He was born about 1953.
Right. Queen's Silver Jubilee one or something.
Yeah. Christine, my daughter, she was born 3 days later, so about 56.
Yeah.
And Andrew was born 1960 or 61, I don't know.
Right, okay. And where were you living when the children were born?
Well, I was in the pub with Robert.
In East Tuddenham?
East Tuddenham.
Right.
Christine, I was working at Birdseye, and we had a little cottage, a little townhouse in Galston.
Right.
And Andrew, we were out on the poultry farm.
So, how did you go from living in Galston to going out to you lived in Stokesby, didn't you?
Well, I worked for Birdseye, and Birdseye had all these poultry farms.
Right.
And because they had to do poultry in the factory.
Yeah.
And they were building 10 more farms, and as I worked in the factory, someone put the word around that I'd worked on a farm and that. No.
Yeah.
And they asked me if I'd like to go to manager of one of their pubs.
Right.
Well, at the time I was charge hand in the factory, so
Yeah.
I would probably well known. And
was it a tied cottage you got with? Did you get a tied cottage?
Well, it's bungalow actually, tied bungalow on the site. And he told one person before, and that was Maureen, that the chicken lorries were picking up chickens that day. And the last lorry they were to go was gone out the gate, and Andrew had come out of school with Christine, and they were standing just outside the gate. There was a gas verge hump, and this lorry come out, and they stood there waiting for it to come out. And because that was one of these lorries where the trailer fitted underneath, so when the trailer went one way, the cab went the other way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that was a very narrow road, and it cut across road where Andrew and Christine stood, his back wheels.
So they were standing on the corner together, were they?
And, Christine was a little bit back from him.
Right.
The back end of the lorry caught him as he went out.
And how old was Andrew then?
He was 5.
Right. Okay. And he died, didn't he?
He died that night. Yeah. They operated on him, but they couldn't stop the bleeding.
Yeah, that must have been a terrible experience
That
for you.
was, but Jane, my wife, she wouldn't go back to Stokesby anymore. She said, no, I can't live there anymore.
So you moved, did you?
We moved to Galston, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. That's very sad.
I've been back into the factory as supervisor.
Yeah.
I think they thought I was going to sue them, but no, I had that in mind that sue the company for.
Right.
But,
so did you worked at Birdseye for a long time, didn't you?
33 years.
Yeah. We're up to you being about 35, so we've got 60 years to go, Harry. So what were the highlights from there? What do you want to tell us about Jean and you? Because you married to her for a long time, weren't you? How many years?
Well, because we were both had a heck of a job to get over Andrew,
Yeah.
and we tried to have another. Try to replace him, but that's no good. You can't replace.
No.
And Jean kept having miscarriages.
Right.
And the doctor said in the end, no, you'd have to pack it up. That's health no good. And so I had to go have the chop.
Oh, right.
As I was that or her. So I accepted. I had the chop. And,
very sensible. So you had the job.
Yeah.
And you were married to Jean for 60 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started on a lot of coach tours. We went mostly across Europe on coach tours.
Yeah.
And we went on cruises.
Did you? Where did you go on your cruises?
6 cruises all told. We went. Well, the first one was we went to Cyprus for a holiday, and they were doing mini cruises from there.
Yeah.
And we went on this cruise to the Holy Land.
Oh, did you? To Israel?
Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And Bethlehem.
Yeah.
And we went back to the ship and went across the port side.
Right.
On the Cairo.
And did you remember some places you'd been in the RAF when you visited?
Fun? Yeah, that's what I wanted to go for, particularly to take Jean to show.
Yeah.
We went to the pyramids.
Right.
And to get there, we had to go right across the desert, and I was telling the lady this morning who could come that.
Did you get a ride on a camel, Harry?
Yeah.
You did?
We went I took Jean to the pyramids, and they had all these camels outside, and Jean and I got onto one, and when we got back to the pyramids, we circled all the way around, and the camel leader, he said to me, "Oh, will you sell me your wife? I'll give you 2 camels for her."
And you said no,
So
3.
that was they done that to everybody. They didn't. when I told Jean, no, bloody can't come out here for that.
That's flattering, isn't it? Tell us a few things you remember about Jean that are special to you about Jean.
She was a very hard worker.
Yeah.
I've never been where I am today. Got what I am today. I'm a Jean. We both used to work every hour we could get.
Yeah.
And I used to do 12-hour shifts. And every bit of overtime I could get, I used to do it.
Yeah.
And Jean used to work sometimes at Birdseye till 2 in the morning.
Right.
Have a taxi to take them home.
Yeah.
But if it weren't for Jean, I'd never. And she handled all the money.
Yeah.
And she was good like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when did Jean pass away, Harry?
2012, February.
Right.
She died in July. She died on my 21st, but on my birthday.
Did she? Do you remember where you had your 60th anniversary celebration?
Yeah, that was in here.
Oh, you had it here?
Jean weren't well enough to do it.
Oh, you had it at the house?
Yeah, we had it in the house and had people all in here everywhere.
Yeah.
They all kept going talking to
Right.
Jean, but she weren't well.
No. So when Jean died, Harry, you spent a bit of time on your own?
I was up on my own here completely.
Yeah.
And so I wanted a cleaner.
Yeah.
And
a glamorous cleaner, was it?
Pardon?
Was it a glamorous cleaner?
Yeah, what it turned out to be. I went in the post office and I see this advert, a lady cleaner for a lady, and I don't know, I phoned you, didn't I?
Yeah.
And she came down to see me. Yeah. She used to come and train, and I used to be. I'd get a cup of tea and I'd sit on the settee, and she'd be cleaning in there. And she'd get a coffee, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And we used to just sit and talk.
Yeah.
You know.
To have a chat.
And then one afternoon, we'd come here and that was boiling hot. You know, really, really hot. And I said, you can't clean this afternoon. We can't stick in here.
Yeah.
When we went out for a cup of tea at Rolls, didn't we?
Yes.
Beside the Broads.
Yeah, we did.
And then you want some plants, and you asked me where I could get some plants.
Yeah.
I said out at Moulton, didn't I?
Moulton Gardens,
and
yeah.
you said, well, I don't know what to get. And I said, well, next time when you find you want to go, I said, I'll take you out there.
Yeah.
And we went out, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We got quite a lot of plants.
We had a lunch as well, didn't we? When we got there.
And when we got back here, I got some plants. We parked over the road there, and
we went to Mum's.
Yeah, but Lisa started saying, "Oh, come back and have a cup of tea with me at Scrappy." And we went back and we had a cup of tea, and Lisa said, "Oh, so let's have a walk down and have a look at the sea." And we walked down there, and about 3 or 4 doors from where you lived, didn't we?
Yeah.
There's this lady in the garden, doing her front garden. And I think she's taking some waste down as a tip over the
in the wheelbarrow, yeah.
And Stamsfield, and Lisa said, "Oh, it's just my mum." And
Maureen.
I am my mum, not Maureen.
Yeah.
And Maureen said to me, "Oh, anytime you're in Scrappy, if you'd like to come have a cup of tea, you'll be most welcome." Well, I come home and I thought, I said, well, a strangers just say that. No.
Yeah.
And anyway, Lisa come and she said to me, have you got phone? Did you phone my mum? And I said, no. I think I told you that I didn't.
Yes. Yeah.
Didn't like to intrude. And she said, well, you phone her now. She said, well, I'm here. And I phoned her and I said to Maureen, I say, you've offered me a cup of tea. And I said, is that offer still open? Oh, of course it is, she said. Well, when do you want to come? I said, well, how about now? I jumped in the car and went. I think I was set up a bit, really.
Yeah, not a bad thing, though, was it?
No, that was a good thing. That was a marvellous thing.
Yeah.
I had three wonderful years with Maureen.
Yeah, she was a lovely lady, wasn't she?
Your little tea bunches, didn't you, with your clubs?
I belonged to 2 clubs and Maureen joined them.
Yeah.
And the clubs used to do different things, different outings out.
Yeah.
We went to, what was it?
Thursford,
didn't we?
No.
Went to Thursford at Christmas,
went
yeah.
Thursford 2 years.
The show.
Yeah.
And the 3rd year we took you as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And we went, Chroma Shells, we went there all over that. We used to go out at luncheons. The club used to do luncheons.
Yeah.
And we used to go out to luncheons and yeah, we were both, I think, very happy.
Yeah. What advice would you give your grandchildren and great-grandchildren, Harry? Of your many years of experience.
Yeah, but things are so much different. So much different.
What do you think of how Yarmouth is now to when you were born?
Oh, it's changed terrific. I don't like it now.
No.
I used to really love Yarmouth. When I was in the RAF abroad, I used to dream about coming home.
Yeah.
I weren't to see my parents or anything. I was to see Yarmouth.
Right.
Yeah. I loved Yarmouth then.
Yeah, but it's all changed now. So any words of wisdom then for the younger generations?
No, I don't really think I could have advised them.
And how have you managed to get to this grand old age?
I don't know. I'm not a religious man. I'm not at all. But several things caused me not to be, but I don't want to go into them. But I think if you can just go your own way and keep as much out of trouble as much as possible.
Like you did, Harry.
Well, I don't say I was dead in it.
Have you got a favourite place in the world? If you have to think of somewhere that makes you happy, where is that? Where's that place?
At the moment, Scrappy.
Is it?
That's still do. I love getting up there.
Yeah. Well, you've got long association with Scrappy.
Yeah. Some lovely people there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Including Helen, Maureen, Lane.
Yeah.
They're all marvellous to me.
Yeah.